Matt Hardy was in the ring with Private Party. And boy, howdy, the big news, Rebby Hardy actually got on camera, holding at least 2 of her spawns in her arms. I wonder how much that Matt had to pay to get Rebby her 2 camera shots.
They shot her from below like the Giants in the WWF in the 80s, if you noticed.
I wondered why that toddler was 6 feet tall. Oh, my God. But she was happy because people paid attention to her, and that's what it's all about. And then Matt Hardy's going to have a single match with Penthouse of the Lucha Brothers. And I said, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. And I'm going for the fast forward button. And I was captivated because they immediately started the match with their goofy hand signs and whatever that is that Penthouse says that the people chant, Zero Mito. And then Matt Hardy would go delete. And then Penthouse would go Zero Mito, sticking his fingers in the air. And then they did the stupid overdone glove bit where he takes 15 minutes to take his fucking glove off. And they didn't touch each other for 2 minutes. Then they did a couple of weak, bad spots and went to the break. And when they went to the break, so did I. And I didn't come back until the match was over because I saw the blackout. So I hold on back up. Apparently, Penthouse won with the pile driver and then started doing a promo. Who the fuck knows what he said? Nobody but Alex, because Alex translated it. But then the lights went out. And when the lights came back on, Malachi Black was in the ring, and he wiped Alex out with a kick. So let's examine this. Matt Hardy, the heel, with Private Party at ringside, who are also heels, but also with his wife and babies at ringside, and that doesn't really make you a heel, unless you know Rebby personally, wrestled a babyface member of the Lucha Brothers who has a heel manager who translates for him. And once that the babyface Lucha Brother with the heel manager defeated the heel wrestler with the other heel wrestlers in his corner, then the lights went out and Malachi Black, another heel, was in the ring and wiped out the heel manager and then got in a fight with the babyface Lucha Brother. But here came Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman and Julia Hart, who are still mad at Malachi Black for missing Julia with the mist.
That's right.
So now Griff Garrison, who Pippi Longstocking's illegitimate stepbrother, and Brian Pillman Jr., who has been the victim of booking malpractice, and Julia Hart, who's just adorable, along with Penthouse, all the 3 baby faces are kicking the shit out of the one heel Malachi Black until Julia Hart tells the 3 baby faces to stop. But it was never explained why that she wanted them to stop when Malachi Black is the one that tried to blind her. But fortunately, we didn't have time to find out because the lights went out again while they were all standing there trying to figure out what they were supposed to be doing. And when the lights came back on, another fat, tattooed up indie guy in embarrassingly brief trunks for that physique was in the ring and beat up all the baby faces. But of course, even though we've never seen this guy before, he's a friend, obviously, of Malachi Black's, a cohort, a henchman, whatever the case. Excrement within 30 seconds had revealed his name, what his and Malachi Black's team nickname is, and what his background is, while they were beating up the underneath baby faces. And again, another guy named Brody. One would think that they might have stayed away from that. But, Brian, what do you think of Brody King? I've heard that people say, oh, he's a great worker and he was in Ring of Honor. I've never seen him, but Jesus H. Christ, can anybody look any more indie and outlaw than this guy with all the fucking tattoos over the white, fleshy, fat skin and the pudgy physique. He's the poster boy for an outlaw wrestler.
I've actually, to the best of my knowledge, not seen him before, so I can't really talk about what he's done previously. I think he has teamed with Malachi Black, maybe even in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, which would be why.
Oh my gosh!
Which would be why Excalibur would know who he is, because, oh my God, that's Brody King! Let me just real quick, and I know you like Jim Ross, and I'm happy that he's getting better. They should fire all 3 commentators and start anew. The commentary team is awful. Shivani adds nothing, and now it's become a fun thing where I sit back and wait to hear what he's going to jump in with. It's never anything. It's the most insignificant commentary in the history of wrestling.
Words.
Excalibur is so bad. And I know there are guys who like him, and I know there are people who like him, and he knows the moves, and he's friends with a lot of the guys.
He knows a lot of Japanese words. Nobody gives a fuck what all the when you go that deep with the name of the moves, nobody gives a shit.
But even beyond that, even if he knew all the moves, he's a horrible lead announcer. He's a horrible lead voice for a wrestling company to hook a fan in. He's horrible at it. And I'm sorry, Jim Ross is checked the fuck out. Jim Ross doesn't mind shitting on anything. He is dressing like you said, okay, I'll just go to the arena now.
Yeah.
I think you need a whole new commentating team. And I know it won't happen. Excalibur's there for the long haul. Shivani too, probably. But this is
I think JR has got to, at some point, how much can you go through also? He's been going through the cancer treatments and traveling in a pandemic just to sit there and look at this shit. And you know he doesn't know what to say half the time. And he doesn't want to get any on him. He's trying not to just come right out and tell the truth.
Because every time he does, he pisses off the Young Bucks camp. I completely understand it. I completely understand it. But beyond the commentary, which I think is just a show-wide problem, and at least on Rampage, do something better. Because that sucks too, but the commentary sucks. I hate the lights out thing. Enough of that. Every single time this guy's going to be able to control the lights, and now he has a friend and he can control the lights with his friend too? Come on. There has to be a better way to do this that isn't lazy and tiresome. I hate to use that Kevin Dunn word, tiresome, but when I use it, there's a meaning for it. We've been seeing this lights out shit forever.
At least this week, the lights didn't go out for no reason and come back on again and never be explained because they just made a fucking mistake. Like they did last week.
That's right, the main event. That's right.
The main event, the light just went out and came back on and everybody continued. And JR was like, well, the lights are going off and on too much, in my opinion.
I don't know if we needed another tag team like this right away, if they're going to be a tag team or just 2 singles guys doing things, but Malachi has really cooled off for me in the last little while. And the more I see of him, the more he cools off. And the more I see of the spooky shit, the more I wish he would go back to Raw. We'll see what happens with Brody King. I can't judge him because I've never seen him. Overall, I wish there was a moratorium on tattoos and wrestling for the next 5 years. No one's allowed to get another tattoo.
He's out there in trunks. He's pale white. He's fleshy. He's a big guy. In a decent-looking outfit, he might look good, but with the tattoos covering most of his body, it just makes the part that's only flesh look more pale, and he looks like some fucking outlaw guy, because every outlaw wrestler in the history of outlaw wrestling over the last 20 years wears black, has tattoos all over him, not a very pleasing physique cosmetically, and fucking everybody makes over him because, oh, he did a Uranagi. Anyway.
They all do Uranagis nowadays.
Uranagi's. And Uranakinis. We found out in this next segment that next week, this is a match already we know, folks, that we're going to be skipping. Chris Flatlander and our little dog Pockets in a mixed tag team match against Adam Cole and Britt Baker. So now Britt is swirling the porcelain bowl alongside her soulmate in wrestling purgatory.
Hey.
And what?
At least Cole's going to be in a match with 4 competitors that are all the same size.
Well, there you go. Actually, Statlander's bigger. They had 3 girls in the back. Old Chris Flatlander, I should say, Layla Hirsch, and Red Velvet. And they were the three of them reciting scripted verbiage like it was an alien language and they'd never heard the words before. But there was an element of high school drama class in that also. And it was completely phony and unbelievable. And again, I would say that the producer, whoever produces these segments and allows that take to air, should be fired. But then maybe this was the 20th take and that's the best they could do. That's the only reason I can think why that these segments are allowed to air without being redone.